was probably down about 40,000 euros. It was dark, bro. People are not as consistent as they claim to be. The things that you're advertising on social media and what you're doing in reality are not the same. You know what I mean? You could preach 1 trade a week and you could be putting on 3 a day. Like it's no one is ever going to see behind the curtain. 3 months ago, I had 200K. Now I've got 1.2.
Welcome everybody back to the Funded Peaks YouTube channel. Today we have another traders podcast, and I'm happy to be joined by none other than
Adam.
Adam.
No big social media tags or anything like that. No, just Adam.
Sometimes that's a blessing. I can tell you that. But welcome.
Thank you, brother.
Very, very happy to have you here. I think it's been a long time coming in general because we've actually known each other for quite some time.
We have. Back early days. Early prop firm days.
Early days indeed.
We won't talk about that.
Yeah. Let's focus on the now anyway. Just the way we usually start these podcasts is just giving a quick introduction on yourself and then just starting into your journey from the beginning.
Okay. Yeah. Well. I'm Adam. Originally from South Africa, but I've been living in Ireland, just in Dublin, for the last 4.5, 5 years. Been trading for around about the same amount of time, so like late 2019, so closing in on 5 years now. Kind of same general story, like I actually saw it through a mate, guy that I went to high school with, not so much like the social media thing, but, through a connection, this guy was just making mad money, like it was insane, he's a guy that didn't even finish high school, was like a chef on a yacht, and he was just pulling in these crazy numbers, and I just had to get involved. Did all these small little support and resistance courses, from a few local guys back in my hometown, and kind of just developed from there. So that was the intro into the journey. But been prop trader now for, I don't know, closing in on 2 years, I'd say. Just did my first 6-figure year. Registered my business April last year. Just hit 6 figures April this year, and I've done about half of that in the last 2 months. So we're making progress.
That's amazing to hear.
The journey is going.
That's amazing to hear, and you've definitely come a long way since we started getting to know each other, which has been about 2 years now, I think.
Yeah. Probably similar timeline. Yeah.
So the growth is very, very healthy.
It is, man. Yeah, it's been a roller coaster. Like obviously, trading in general has been a roller coaster.
I think that's an understatement. But
and like the whole prop thing as well, because like obviously I started on personal accounts, so like half of my journey would have been personal accounts.
Yeah.
And then you get your soft introduction into prop firms with FTMO. Everyone knows them. And it's a really good kind of beginning. I think people nowadays are a little bit blessed in the sense that they don't have to go through that like baptism of fire.
Most definitely, and it's interesting you mentioned personal account, right? Let's touch upon that a little bit. So you said you started with a personal account.
Yeah, probably the personal accounts for about 2 years.
2 years, okay. And how did so obviously you said through your friend who was a chef on a yacht, right? That's a bit of a crazy story, but just going from that, and then what, you just decided, okay, let me go with a broker and deposit some money, or?
Yeah, well, I mean, like I was watching him. Obviously, I did my course through these like small guys in my hometown. They were like called Legends FX or something. They literally like released like a PDF document with like, this is support, this is resistance, this is what a pip is, and I was like, man, this is going to change my life. Like, I remember like with my housemate at the time, I was doing this course like in the living room, and he'd just be like, what are you doing, man? Like just focus on your career. That's what's gonna that's what's gonna get you where you want to get. And like I think that's actually, just to touch on that real quick, like I think that is kind of what drove me into trading, is that I have a good career. I still work full time. Like I'd be making good progress, like, on paper, like for anyone that's, maybe not this way inclined towards trading, entrepreneurship, that sort of thing. Like you look at my situation and you think, oh, he's heading in the right direction. But I realized that I got into that for all of the wrong reasons, and I decided to get into my career, not because like I love construction, but because I was like, that's going to make me a millionaire. Like I'm going to drive a Porsche because I work in construction. And like, you know, the older you get, you kind of start to realize that's not the case.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. I think when reality hits you,
Exactly,
yeah,
bro.
yeah. And again, there's nothing wrong with working a job at all.
Absolutely not, you know. And like, look, it does give you that security aspect, and it helps with your psychology, and we can talk a little bit about that later. But like, I think that once I kind of got a little bit older and I realized that wasn't happening, you know, I wasn't any closer to driving a Porsche. You know, I started looking for other things. So then I came across this course. Obviously, like I said, I had a mate that was doing it, and so just decided to deposit some money into a broker, like a personal broker, personal account. Great broker, by the way. They're African based, but yeah, and just like consistently blowing accounts, man. But like, and then I started to watch his progress, and we would chat every single day. You know, like just comparing trades, and like I look back at like that time of my life and screenshots that I have on my phone from that period, and like, you know, you were so stoked about like $40 a day. You know,
Yeah,
damn,
yeah.
bro, like this is gonna be life changing. You know, imagine I can do this every day.
Yeah, I think I can definitely relate with what you're saying, because you look back at the start of your journey and you see like, okay, either you're making all these losses or these very small gains.
Yeah.
But then if you look at where you are now, it's still technically relevant to where you are now. It's just a percentage game,
100%.
you know, but back then it's just smaller numbers compared to, let's just say, bigger numbers now,
Yeah.
you know, and
You
that's
know,
all it is.
And I think you're also a bit naive, like when you come into trading as well, and you know, like you almost kind of trade a little bit better because you don't have, like, your overthinking hasn't really set in yet. You know, like your time in the markets, you don't have any skin on the game, so you just take trades at face value. You know? And like there is an element, like I kind of wish that I could go back to that time of just, you know, like where the markets hadn't ruined me yet.
Yeah, but I truly believe that every trader has to go through that phase.
Oh, without a doubt, you know. And that's what like you kind of see nowadays, is that like people aren't going through those phases. Like there's a lot of people that are just starting straight on props, you know, they're not doing the personal account route. And like I said, you know, like myself, yourself, there's a lot of other traders out there that would have done it for, you know, 2, 3, 4 years of personal accounts before prop firms were what they are now.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, deposited some money into the personal accounts, lost a load of it. Like, you know, the journey of my first 3 years of trading was very, very unprofitable.
How much would you say you lost on the personal?
I'd say that across 3 years before I became like consistently profitable, I was probably down about 40,000 euros overall. Yeah, it was dark, bro.
Yeah,
like, you know, you really believe that this is the thing that's going to turn around for you, but it can so quickly become like a bit of a spiral, you know. Like
Definitely, you feel like a dark hole or a black hole has formed, right?
Know? And then like it very much resembles like trading and getting involved in bad trading, like very much resembles like addictive tendencies, you know.
Definitely.
I can say that without a doubt. Like there's a lot of traits that I've exhibited during my time, negative traits during my time of trading, that, you know, very closely resemble like addictive tendencies, addictive behavior. You know, like I was borrowing money to trade. It was just, I was putting trading money on credit cards. It's, you know, it got dark for a stage, you know. And I think it's tough as well because, like, you know, the trading environment is very kind of secular. Like, you know, it exists pretty much online nowadays. Like, you know, we've known each other for 2 years. This is our first time meeting. So, you know, it's it can become very difficult as well because your mates aren't talking to you about it, you know, or you're not talking to them about it, rather. But yeah, prop firms came along, and definitely there was a big shift in, you know, the trajectory of my trading career, because now all of a sudden, you know, there's this leverage that's afforded to you, or at least like a risk kind of that's afforded to you that you don't have to necessarily take on. And yeah, when I saw it, I was like, this is way too good to be true.
Yeah.
You know, got involved with one of the OG prop firms.
Yeah.
You know, slow growth, but like, yeah, we turned it around. You know, 2 years later, kind of after being involved with the prop firms, we are where we are now. We're consistently profitable. You know, we've adjusted our risk, or our attitude towards risk at least, and yeah, happy to be involved with FundedPeaks as well.
We're definitely glad to have you. And I just wanted to touch on something very important that you just mentioned as well, which many people don't talk about, which is being in the dark place and how you're in this downward spiral, and you know, these habits you start to form indirectly, let's say, because it's not something you just wake up and you think, okay, I need to have this really bad habit today. No,
100%.
It comes with the journey, because when you're going through such a bad time, and I'll say it as I've always said it, where trading is the hardest thing you could ever do in your life. And I truly believe that. yes, people say it can also be the easiest thing in your life, but you have to be able to really put in this graph to get to a place where you say you can make trading easy.
Oh, absolutely. Like, it's not like it's a, there's that old cliche, like if you make, let's say 10 grand in a day, you know what I mean? People look at it and it's like, oh, he made 10 grand in a day. But they don't realize that you spent 4.5 years trying to learn how to make 10 grand.
They don't understand the pain and the struggles.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
It's unreal, and like really the people closest to you will be the ones to witness it, like my poor fiance, like she has seen me through some dark times, you know. So yeah, there's definitely, there's a big spiral, and I think you've got to understand exactly what you said, like you don't wake up, like even though you're in it,
how do you get out of it?
Yeah, exactly. You're very aware of it, and when you're doing it, when you're taking that third trade of the day, when you've already had 2 losers, you're very aware of it at the time. But it's a very knee-jerk kind of reaction, and that's why I say it can very closely resemble addictive behaviors, addictive tendencies, that sort of thing. So I think you have to really work on yourself as well, and that's as you alluded to, like it can be one of the hardest things that you do, and not because trading is hard, but it's because the kind of person that you have to be a trader, that's what's hard. That work is hard.
Definitely. And it obviously comes down to how you are on a personal level, but then also trading is, built in a way for you to feel these ways that, these downwards mentalities and whatnot. So that's where the biggest struggle is, and a reason why the percentage of failure is so high, because most people fall into that bracket, whereas the few that don't is because they've been able to understand something, even if it's the smallest thing, they've been able to understand something that allows them to do things differently. Right?
Yeah, I think that could be it. That's a good point. I think a lot of it has to do with persistence, though. Like I think the reason that the failure rate is so high in trading is one, I mean, it's been spoken about regularly on other podcasts and things like that, but the barrier of entry is very low, so, and as I mentioned, people aren't going through the periods to get skin in the game, to, do the personal accounts, spend the months and months and months, because everyone wants to get to the Porsche or the Ferrari, you know what I mean? So the barrier of entry is very low. People are just diving in, and then, you've got this whole percentage of people that will never be in the game long term, so they are definitely skewing the rates in terms of failures and successes and things like that. But I mean, you could get someone like me. Like, I don't by any stretch of the means think that I'm an excellent trader. I'm a bang average trader.
I think, but I just wanted to just butt in there, because I think that's the right mentality to have. Because the moment you get complacent and think you're this great thing, that's where your only way is going down.
Exactly.
There's no way up.
If you've peaked, that's it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It doesn't get any better from there.
And I'm not saying don't be grateful or proud of your achievements or don't have confidence. Of course, you need all of these things to be a good trader.
Yeah.
But in my own opinion as well, as soon as you tell yourself you're a good trader, you've put this unnecessary pressure on yourself.
Without a doubt.
Whether it's directly or indirectly, you put it on yourself. And now other people look at your words and it's like make or break at that point. Yeah. Whereas you could easily just stay humble, stay on course of what you're doing and keep building as you have done over the years.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I try and stay away from the social media aspect of it as well, because like everything, especially on, certain social platforms, it's like trial by fire. You know what I mean? You could say one thing and I mean like people are not as consistent as they claim to be. You know what I mean?
100%.
Like, it's like the things that you're advertising on social media and what you're doing in reality are not the same. You know what I mean? You could preach 1 trade a week and you could be putting on 3 a day. Like it's no one is ever going to see behind the curtain. And that's why I think that, like, personally, that's why I've never really got super involved in the trading side of social media. Yeah. It is something I would like to maybe dabble in a little bit, but that takes time, and I would never want it to be disingenuous.
Definitely. Now, to be honest, I think like you've probably done the right thing by just not being invested in social media,
keeping out of the noise.
Literally, like from what I've noticed of you as well, that you're seeing things, but you just never want to be involved in it. And I think that's the right approach to have, because then you're able to filter out like, okay, what should I actually be focusing on that these people are not focusing on, and then look where you are right now. So I think it's very important. That being said, with social media, there's obviously always a good side, there's always a bad side.
Definitely. Like, it has its benefits. I think that one big thing for me, though, and like I think that things that are spoken about a lot lately. Like everyone mentions psychology. You know, every podcast I watch nowadays, people are speaking about psychology. But like, I don't think that they speak enough about like the raw and real side of it. You know what I mean? People think that if they post a loss every now and then, that's them being a genuine trader. You know what I mean? It can get really hard out there. You know, like you spoke about confidence. Let's say, for example, like I've always seen myself as a confident guy. Like there's never been something that I've endeavored to do that I thought this is going to beat me. You know what I mean? It's never been like that. And maybe that was because, I don't know, maybe my parents told me they were proud of me too much when I was a kid. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
But like, I've always had that confidence. And trading is the one thing that, like, I thought to myself, like, this is going to beat me. You know, like, I might not win at this. And like, the reason for that is because you can't win trading. You know what I mean? Like, it's a constant journey. There is no end in sight. So like, I think I really had to kind of strip myself back in terms of kind of the person that I was and the approach that I took towards things, because, you know, I was always the type of person that if I wasn't immediately good at something, I hated it. You know, and you just can't take that approach with trading. And I think that like the effects that it can have on you psychologically, your relationships, like I have, to invest in trading, I've stripped a lot of myself back. And now that, you know, I've developed a system that works for me, it's now about like trying to rebuild that, you know, and people don't talk about that type of stuff. You know, it happens in all lines of work. I mean, it's not just trading, you know, but I think it can be particularly difficult in this type of industry where it's so singular.
Yeah.
You know?
I couldn't agree more. And, you know, you're right. Too many podcasts say the same thing.
Yeah.
They don't really go into their real journey. They'll say things on a high level to make it sound somewhat good or somewhat bad for whatever the goal is at hand for them, right? And being real and raw in the industry is very rare, let's just say, right? And I'm very glad that I really feel like you just opened up in a way, you know,
bro. Yeah,
you know, I didn't.
Do you know what I mean? It's like maybe it's a little bit of like the importance of community. You know what I mean? Like you said, we've been chatting, you know, for the last couple of years. Like this is the first time we're actually sitting down and having a conversation. But like, you know, I already feel like there's stuff that we can talk about just because of the trading link. That like I will never say to the friends that I grew up with. You know what I mean? Because like they just don't want to hear it,
and they would never understand it.
Yeah, and not like it's not that they wouldn't want to make the effort to hear it, and that's not really the thing, you know. It's like, but they can't feel that pain in the chest when that trade goes against you. You know what I mean?
They can't relate. They can't relate.
So I think like the importance of community is also good, and that's why I do like that aspect of the social media, you know. But I think like given the nature of it, and you know, it is a money orientated kind of thing. And relationships are less important than money. So in this particular industry, I don't believe that, but you know, in this particular industry, so like everyone's interaction that they're having with you seems to be very surface level. You know, so like when you can find a little community that kind of works for you, you know, I think that's good. And I think like I've seen what you've done with your Discord, for example, you know, like and I've seen what you've tried to create. And I think we need to try and aim towards more positive spaces like that, you know.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And that was always the goal with that. It was just have a free community for everyone to just talk everything trading, talk about life and help people out, you know. There's been a few cases there recently where, you know, people have made some big advancements, and it's really like just, it makes me happy to see these things, you know.
Yeah, man.
And there's no intention behind it apart from just wanting everyone to be doing good in life, you know.
Yeah.
And I think the reason I even created that to begin with was because I saw so much of a disparity in the industry when I was coming up that I didn't have that help. I didn't have that guidance. I didn't have a community. I didn't have nothing. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to build my own. And that was that. But now, obviously, with Funded Peaks, our community, I'd say we have one of the best communities around, you know, and we're only 7 weeks in and it's growing like crazy. And we have very, very good people in the team, but also our traders as well, you know. The feedback that we've gotten up until now has exceeded my expectations beyond I could imagine, and I was already expecting amazing things. You know, and yeah, just to touch on that, like, what has your experience been with FundedPeaks so far? Because I know you've been trading with us pretty much since the start, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Like I think it was a couple of weeks until I bought a challenge. That was just because I was trying to take a break from challenges, because you know yourself, like it's you know, the way that you trade challenges and the way that you trade funded accounts, like it is very different. And it's hard to kind of weed out the gamblers in that sense as well. And I see that FundedPeaks has made some steps towards doing that, you know, which I think will benefit you guys long term. But I think that like you guys have are coming into a real good time in the market in terms of prop firms, because we've had a lot of failures in the industry recently, and you guys have that opportunity where like you can see that firsthand and learn from it. So like my personal opinion of Funded Peaks at the moment is that you guys have come in, you've taken a good available piece of the market share, and you've come in like a professional firm, like you've been there for years. So all credit to you guys for creating that. And I think that if it can continue, like there's no ceiling.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, and I appreciate the honest feedback as well. We've gotten quite a few messages already regarding people thinking we've been around for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking it's almost 2 months.
Exactly.
Which makes me even happier, because that's the kind of things you want to hear as a company, right?
100%.
And of course, yeah, we came in at a certain time, but it was based on our own timing, not the industry's timing.
Without a doubt.
Nobody knew what was going to happen in the industry,
Yeah.
and everything happens for a reason. I'm a firm believer in that. Of course, it was in the works for such a long time, but nonetheless, we have our goal in mind, how we want to approach things, and I'm seeing slowly but surely other firms are actually following what we're trying to do.
Yeah, I've seen it over the last couple of days.
Yeah,
but you know what? Like it's there's been so many firms that have been propping up recently, and it's almost like there's been a little template, and it's been so easy for anyone to open one.
Yeah.
So I think that taking your time to open it, like a lot of people could have viewed it at the time like, why is this taking so long? Or we're waiting for Funded Peaks.
Well, now they know. Now they know.
You know what I mean? Like, if you want to create something with solid infrastructure, to handle big payouts in the first couple of weeks, like that's what you need to do. And I think that is one thing that the industry in general could benefit more from. Like, we see a lot of like lack of professionalism.
Definitely.
Amongst firms. Like, I think that even the way that some of the CEOs, inverted commas, like conduct themselves over social media. You know what I mean? It's you would never see the likes of a big clothing brand, for example. You would never see their CEO like mouthing off on social media the way that some others do. So I think that if you can create a professional environment where it's still community orientated, where you still have involvement, and like I've seen in your Discords, you're reaching out regularly and that sort of thing, and people like to see that. I think that you need to be able to put a face to the product. So I think that the social media influence there is a good thing.
Yeah.
But I think professionalism is what the industry has really been lacking.
Yeah.
So I think if you guys can grab onto that, and it seems like you have, again, it's going to be a big future going forward.
I love that. And that's like one of our main key components, or values, let's say, where professionalism is the top, and above that as well, we really are here for the people. Otherwise, as you just said, I wouldn't be engaging with people, would I?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Trust me, to run a company of this magnitude, it's not easy. This is all in house, so it's
without a doubt. Yeah, look, I mean, I wouldn't imagine. I wouldn't profess to know what goes on in the background. You know what I mean? Like, it's stressful.
Yeah, it's to say the least. Let's just say, especially early on. But I think we're doing a pretty good job, and everyone's happy. That's the main thing. Is that we want people to be happy with the product, but also happy with us. And when people hear about Funded Peaks, they're only ever saying good things, And so far, that is where we are. And that's obviously how we want to go forward and keep building and building and building. That's the goal. The goal is always to build, and that's how we're gonna keep it going. But just on your actual trading with us as well, because I know you have 400K funding.
400K at the moment. Yeah.
That's quite a lot.
It has been. Look, my trading kind of portfolio, if you will, has kind of blown up recently. You know what I mean? I was pulling off good results. It's like 3 months ago, I had 200K. Now I've got 1.2 million.
Amazing.
So
Amazing.
It's definitely expanded. I've diversified across a few firms, but my trading experience with you guys, it's been very seamless. I also like I remember like I wanted to post a Trustpilot review in the beginning, and I thought to myself, like, you know what, I'm not gonna post one immediately. You know what I mean? Because like I want to give a genuine review. And like, look, I mean, who really cares about Adam's review on Trustpilot? It's not going to be the be all and end all. You know what I mean? But like I said, I'd wait for the payout, I'd see how the process was, and then I'd post an honest review. And to be honest, from like first day trading, getting the funded account, there was a dashboard migration in between, which was fairly seamless as well. To getting my payout, it ticked a lot of boxes, man. To be honest, like I think that at the end of the day, like it seems that a lot of companies have kind of moved away from the goal of why people come to prop firms, and that's to get paid.
Yeah.
You know, like there's other companies that have big delays, and, you know, I know there's a lot of stuff going on in the background and things like that, but like, you know, sending out messages and saying like, oh, it's coming, like that's not good enough. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, like, I treat trading like a business. You know what I mean?
As you should.
As you should. And for me, my only end product for this business is my payout. You know, so like if I submit a payout and it only comes in 2 weeks, like, you know, that's a whole payout cycle.
Has that happened to you?
It's happened along the lines, you know, not like it has happened before.
Yeah.
Not frequently.
Yeah.
But you know, this has been delays, and it almost feels like you have to fight for your payouts a lot of days.
Yeah.
You know, and like the 3 payouts that I've had with FundedPeaks so far, they've all come within 24 hours. So, you know, it's solid. Most of them have been same day. So it's been solid. You know, the conditions are good. The customer service seems good. You know, it helps when you can give a text to the CEO every now and then. Not that I've had to, though. And that's one thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever had to text you about something and say like, oh, you know, my pal's not here.
Yeah, nothing
Whatever,
specific,
you
just
know what I
general,
mean?
just
So,
general stuff.
yeah, like it's it's been good, and I do think that you guys, like I said, you've set yourself up very well. You know, your timing was good, but whether that was by design or not doesn't really matter. And I think that you've got a good base, and you can continue to grow from here, and, you know, pick up more of the market share, keep professionalism, keep good conditions, and bro, the people will come.
Yeah, that's the goal. We genuinely just want to make people happy, and we just want to make that change in the industry that I think is long overdue.
Yeah.
Especially with everything that's been happening since last year. It's not just this year, since last year. You know,
September last year, you know, we got shaken up. So.
yeah. So, you know, there's obviously always a lot of moving pieces. But I think the main thing within the industry is being able to adapt. You know, as long as you can adapt, whether you're a trader, whether you're a business, being able to adapt is probably the most important thing, because then you roll with the punches, right? And
100%.
you make use of what you have there to gain. So I think, you know, it's a win-win for traders, win-win for the actual firms, as long as they conduct themselves in the right way and provide the right service and value
Exactly.
at all times.
You know, and I mean, from both sides of the relationship, the goal is longevity. You know,
Definitely.
Like I have had accounts with other firms for, you know, 4 or 5 months at a time, singular accounts, and, you know, like that's the goal. You know, I don't want to swing for the fences and get a 50 grand payout. That doesn't appeal to me.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if I can build over time, like I think, you know, out of the 3 payouts, I've got a couple pending still on my 2 accounts. I think we're just shy of 20K once I get those. So, you know, it's been a good return over the time that I've been involved with FundedPeaks. You know, and like I like the way that you guys are conducting yourselves in terms of your clarity as well. You know, like there's a lot of stuff in terms of contracts and things like that, and no one reads the contract. Let's be honest. You know what I mean? As a prop firm trader, like you sign up, you're not going to skim through a 20-page document. You rely on the likes of social media and what people are saying in order to highlight the things that you should know.
Yeah.
You know, so I think you guys have done yourself a service there as well by making it explicitly clear to people stuff that is in the contract. You know, and people will always talk about it. They'll make noise about it as well. But at the end of the day, like you guys are setting yourself up for longevity. So
That's it. I mean, you're spot on. I don't think I could have said it any better, to be honest, you know. But definitely trust and transparency are very important to us, and will always be upheld at all times, you know. Because the thing is, reality is, if you're actually here for the traders, you need to be clear with everything, you know. And we see it time and time again. There's not clarity anywhere, and then people get stressed out, and then they wonder, like, oh, is my payout going to come, or what's going to happen there? You know, it's going to affect them, and then this is where psychologically everyone's in a bad place, and you know, you want people to be okay, at least, you know. Life's hard enough as it is, you know. Everybody struggles in different ways. And, you know, all you can try and do is make this a better place for everyone, not just the industry, but just in general in life as well. You want everyone to do well, you know.
yeah.
So we're very strong on our morals and our values and our ethics, you know, as a business and as people, obviously, you know.
And I think that's great what you just touched on in terms of like trying to create that security for people, you know, because like, I mean, I touched on my own particular story. Like I still work full time, you know, and the only reason for that is like financially you'd look at, you know, the last year and think that I can more than afford to go into full-time trading.
Yeah.
But like, you know, the last couple months especially, like it's almost doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But, you know, like for me, it's a big element of security, you know, my full-time job, knowing that I can trade with freedom and my bills will always be secure. You know, my rent is paid, my bills are paid, all of that, you know, and it allows me to trade with the kind of sense of freedom that, you know, has led me to be this profitable. And that's not for everyone, you know, like people make the jump into full-time all the time. But you know, it's scary out there when you feel like you're fighting for your life at every payout. You know what I mean? So, yeah, psychologically, it's tough, and you want that kind of sense of security within the industry.
Definitely. So would you say that by you still working a full-time job, but also trading with firms, allows you to have a clearer mind when you're actually trading because you have the job?
100%, without a doubt. Like, you know, I would like, if anyone ever comes to me and they're like, I want to start trading, like the first thing I'd be saying to them is don't, because it will destroy you. No, but in all seriousness, I think that, like, you know, keeping your full-time job gives you that sense of security. And, you know, if you are like lucky enough to be able to structure your day where you can still trade, you know, not in the sense that like I'm sitting in front of the computer and I'm trading if my bosses are watching this. You know,
imagine they watch this.
You never know. Yeah, I had to tell my boss I was coming to talk on a podcast about finance and investment, and he looked at me like very weird because anyway, that's why I needed the day off. Yeah, no, it's definitely, it's given me that sense of security, you know, and I think psychologically it just gives you that peace of mind that, you know, no matter what, no matter if that trade goes against you, no matter if you blow all of your funding, you know, you're still going to be okay. And yeah, I think unless you're a trust fund baby or you have, you know, a couple $100K in the bank to fall back on, like, you need that security. You know, you need to be able to operate stress-free and, you know, feel like you're in your flow state, because I think that's very important in trading.
Definitely. And I think this is where people get the misconception where they think that they need to just do trading full time, or they don't need to have a job. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with having a full-time job or a part-time job and trading. There isn't. And I've even seen it, you know, where people that actually do have a job and trade at the same time end up being more profitable than people that are full-time traders. And what's one of the main reasons is because when you're a full-time trader, you have too much time.
Yeah.
And when you have too much time, you make wrong decisions.
Too much time to overthink, like,
you know?
100%, you know, like you can be in the market all the time if you're a full-time trader technically, you know, and yeah, I think that it's, look, I mean, there's no recipe, you know, like everyone is different. Like, you know, I know you made the jump to full-time prior to starting FundedPeaks and stuff like that. And, you know, all credit to you, you made it work. You know, but I think that if you have, look, it depends on what you're doing as well. Like if you have other entrepreneurial pursuits in the background, like it could be great that you're a profitable trader, because that allows you time to work on, you know, your other pursuits, your side hustles, property, whatever it might be, you know, which obviously you're limited in that if you're working a 9 to 5. Like, so, you know, the overall idea is one day to transition out of it. You know, like if I'm 35 and still working in construction, I've probably done something wrong. But, you know, like, that's not to say that I won't still be doing well for myself, you know?
Yeah, definitely. And look, everyone defines success differently, and there's no right answer to what that looks like, right? Everybody's happiness is determined by themselves.
Exactly.
So you can't compare one person to another, especially on different metrics. It's just, I don't think it's the right way to live life. I think the main thing is as long as that individual is happy and content with what they're doing in life, right?
Yeah.
So, for example, how you said about, you know, you do your trading and you have the job because for security, right? Whereas someone else might be trading to just use trading income as a vehicle to invest in a business, for example.
Yeah,
you know, there's so many different approaches, just like there are in trading, so many different ways to trade.
Yeah.
There's so many different ways to do things with the money you make in trading outside of trading, you know?
Look, I'm a big advocate. Like, I don't think trading is the end goal. You know, I think trading is a vehicle.
Yep.
And I think it's a good way to accelerate ourselves. You know, like, I mean, think about what you need to do to go out and get a 6-figure job. You know, like most people out there, if they're earning 6 figures, you know, in a 9 to 5, they are well in the top percentiles in terms of, you know, average earnings. So, I mean, like if you can invest time and effort into trading and fast track that process, like if you use that money to invest in something else, real estate business, whatever it is, you know, that I think that should be the goal at the end of the day. Like
100%.
Trading will always be there and you can always make additional income from it, but it's about trying to create that security around trading, you know, and time freedom. That's a big thing as well.
I think that is the goal, time and freedom, right? Like
Exactly.
that's what everybody should strive for. But no, I love that, and I completely agree with everything you just said. I think this has been a very insightful podcast, and you know, I think we touched on a lot of important, let's say, personal things, which honestly I love it, because I think the real and rawness of people in the industry, we need more of it, and it's only going to help the listeners to really understand different perspectives from a trader, right? Not the normal cliche that you hear all the time, right? Like how a trader should be and all this. No, every trader is different.
Exactly.
Every person is different, and it's all based on your traits as a person. It's all based on experiences you've had in life, on so many different factors. Life is a big whirlwind, let's just say,
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
And that's what it comes down to, right? So no, I really appreciate you coming on to this podcast. I really do thank you for coming. I know you traveled from Ireland, not too far, but it's still traveling. I know.
Little bit short plane journey.
Yeah. No, I really appreciate that. And how we usually end these trader podcasts is, what advice do you have for the listeners?
Well, like I said before, if someone had to come to me and say, how do I get into trading, my advice would be don't. But no, look, I think that you have to know your reason for getting into trading.
Your why.
Your why. I know it is a bit cliche, but like it's what I kind of alluded to earlier. Like I'm a bang average trader. But I just didn't stop. Every single time that I wanted to, I just didn't. So I think you have to be very prepared to know that this is not an overnight success. I think that you have to persist even when it gets hard. Because there will be times where you feel like this is your barrier and you should just turn around. But you might just be close to the peak. So, my advice would be just keep going. Don't try and hit home runs because, single base at the time will get you far.
No, I love that. And I think I can maybe relate this to just 3 Ps I've made up in my head, right? So as you said, being persistent, being passionate, and then you'll reach your peak.
There we go.
That's what I just came up with.
And then it'll be profitable.
There you go. And none other than with FundedPeaks.
With FundedPeaks, that's it, bro.
I think that's a nice little, I don't know if it's an actual poem, but whatever you want to call it.
You could TM that somewhere.
It's all free flowing. But no, definitely, thank you again for joining the podcast today. And hopefully we can do this another time once you've reached a certain milestone with us,
Yeah, bro, definitely. Like, anytime. I'd come back anytime. It was great to have the chats, Yeah, we probably segued a little bit into some personal stuff.
Yeah,
but,
I think that's good though. I think that's good.
I do think it's good. I think there's a place for it,
Definitely.
But it's like, thanks for creating the space. Thanks for having me over. And we'd do it again anytime.
Definitely. No, appreciate you. Thank you. So that's another podcast finished. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the FundedPeaks YouTube channel. And I'll see you on the next podcast. Take care.